Anyway, looks like we get to go around. Good to see you. How are you?
Hi, Tom. Yeah.
Kind of, all of a sudden.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No, not right now.
Maybe not. I
videoing.
will. Without touching your tripod. Oh!
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I would like to welcome everybody to this phenomenal day today. 30 years in the making. I'd like to first recognize some of the people that made this happen. Certainly the council members. We have Vice Mayor Bob Carling, council members Trish Monroe, Bob Werner, and Bob Coomber, and also former council member Steve Spadowski. So what's remarkable is we have both the council members that approved this building and now the council members that are dedicating this building. And I will tell you that approving it was more difficult. I'd also like to thank the members of the Planning Commission that are here. The members of the Planning Commission provided critically important input to this building. There were modifications that were made very early on in the process because of the Planning Commission. We also have Judy Lloyd from Senator Glazer's office, right there, and also Gabriela Jimenez from Assemblymember Bauer Cahan's office. She's here as well. We have former mayors John Shirley, Milo Nordyke, Marshall Kamina. We also have former council members Lorraine Dietrich, John Stein, Doug Horner, Tom Vargas, and we also have from the Zone 7 Water Agency Dennis Gams, one of the board members there. And from the LARPD we have David First, Beth Wilson, and Mary Alice Faltings.
Jan is here too.
Have I missed anybody? Oh, I'm sorry, Jan Palajak as well. So you got sneaked in there. And I would also like to recognize and to thank, my profound thanks to everybody that worked so hard on this building. It's been a long time coming, and in particular I'd like to recognize my city manager, Mark Roberts, because if it wasn't for Mark Roberts' commitment to this building and the strategy behind the creation of this, it would not have happened. So my thanks to everybody that came together. This was difficult, and I just want to say thanks to all of you that made that happen. Welcome to your building. This is your building. This building was designed to serve our community. And my sincere thanks go to the designers, the architects, the builders, and as I said, the members of the Planning Commission who provided the input to ensure the quality that we see here today. This building is compact. It's compact. It's very efficient, and it is designed for one purpose: to serve this community. In fact, when I wanted to add a display case just at the north end of the entryway, because of all the conduit and wiring that's in these walls, there was only one place in the entire building that they could put the display cabinet, and they had to cut out a 2x6 to sort of shoehorn this in there. We, the members of the council, were elected to represent, to serve, and protect this community. We live here. As proven by the city budget, our #1 priority is public safety, and this building is testament to how seriously we take that commitment. Despite what you might think, this was not easy. There were actually people that opposed the construction of this building. I heard people say, Livermore has gone 150 years without an emergency operations center. Why do we need one now? And I said, well, there's a lot more to fall down and burn up than there was 150 years ago. In recent memory, one need only look to the quakes in Napa or the fires in Santa Rosa and Paradise to understand the importance of planning ahead for emergencies and to have a building like this. Emergencies will come. I've learned that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And as Bob Warner said, hope is not a strategy. A use analysis demonstrated that our old triple-wide trailer was used 80% of the time. And I am confident that this building will be used even more to train our first responders and our city staff to be better prepared as they continue to serve and to protect our remarkable city of Livermore. So I'd now like to invite Mark Roberts, our city manager, to make a few comments as well.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Well, boy, I'm excited about this. So, today we celebrate the dedication of Livermore Civic Center, Meeting Hall, and Emergency Operations Center. It's the culmination of years of work. In 1988, okay, the city moved its council chambers out of the old county courthouse, where Uncle Hughes now stands, into temporary trailers which were projected to be used for 3 to 5 years. However, as anyone who has ever worked for the government at any level knows, there is nothing as permanent as a temporary building. I hear the lab people laughing. This day is particularly meaningful to me because I may have attended more meetings and events in the temporary trailers than any other person alive, as I have attended meetings over the last 30 years and virtually every city council meeting for the past 20 years. While the trailers were minimally adequate, it was difficult for the public to participate in the proceedings. From roughly a third of the seats in the old chambers, it was virtually impossible to see any of the presentations. In other words, everybody sits off to the right, okay? I won't even bring up the leaks and the raccoons in the wall. And our current EOC is not built to accommodate our local, regional, state, and federal partners that will be working with us when a disaster strikes our community. Through the efforts of the community and multiple city councils over many years, and especially Mayor Marchand and the 2 most recent councils that authorized and oversaw the construction of this facility, this new building addresses all of these issues and more. So I'm going to spend just a quick minute going through some of its features. So the building performs 3 essential functions: a public meeting hall, staff meeting and training rooms, and an emergency operations center. The building is 6,750 square feet. The council chambers, which we'll all see in just a few minutes, seats 124 people. And the overflow areas include these meeting rooms, which can seat 80 people, as you can see, and have standing room for more, as you can see. When the building is complete, these buildings will have full audio-visual capabilities, so you'll be able to see and hear everything that's going on in the main chambers in these rooms and in the main hallway there. So essentially, we will be able to operate a meeting that comfortably seats over 200 people and has capacity for more beyond that. In addition to the council, this building will be used by a wide variety of boards and commissions, including the Planning Commission, Historic Preservation Commission, Arts Commission, Human Services Commission, Youth Commissions, and a variety of special committees. The meeting hall portion of this room, which essentially are these 2 rooms, which you can see could divide, so it's one large room that divides into 2, will function to support administrative and training functions, hiring exams, and boards, technical certification trainings, departmental meetings. In addition, community meetings will be held here too, including neighborhood watch block captain meetings, CERT trainings, neighborhood group meetings relating to development projects, etc. We will finally have a place that actually has a real floor, one that doesn't bounce when you walk on it, and a real ceiling that doesn't leak, and finally, walls that have all sorts of things in them but no animals. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, this building will serve as an emergency operations center. It is built to essential facility standards to allow it to survive a disaster and serve as an EOC to protect our community in the event of a disaster. The entire facility can transition to an EOC when disaster strikes. It is over 4 times the size of the existing facilities, and it can accommodate the needs of a fully staffed incident. It will be equipped with state-of-the-art audio and visual equipment and plenty of storage for backup technology and supplies. Okay, backup supplies in an emergency is paper, okay, and pencils and paper maps. So should everything go wrong, this building will still be able to function at a level to support the community. The facility is large enough to accommodate not only all of our local staff, but our local partners and our regional partners as well. So agencies as varied as the Red Cross and RACES, the school district and park district staff, and then essentially county, state, and federal representatives. And as we know, emergencies are not over in a period of hours. They drag on for days or weeks. So this building can transition and can function over a long period of time. It has adequate data and electrical connections to support the needs of the entire EOC, as well as full power backup that allows it to function for days, if necessary, off of the grid. So we really are taking an enormous step forward. While we did have a conference room before, and your staff would have heroically used the conference room to serve the community, this will make it much easier to do what we need to do, especially in those critical early hours and days of a disaster. So from that perspective, on behalf of your staff who will be taking care of you during those events, thank you for this facility. The building is a result of efforts of hundreds of folks. Don't worry, I won't read all hundreds of names. Who participated in the financing, design, and construction of the facility. I am going to spend just 2 minutes here highlighting a few of the most critical. Perkins Eastman Architects. Brian Doherty was the overall team leader. Lance Kuntz led the design effort for this structure, and Caitlin Wagner was the project architect who provided day-to-day administration during construction. Our contractor, DL Falk Construction, oversaw the complex collection of subcontractors to bring this project to fruition. And their team included David T. Falk, who was the director of operations for the company and oversaw the project. Dan Williams was overseeing logistics and contract administration, and John Dominguez, who managed the day-to-day operations at the site. And I said they were going to be prominently mentioned either way. If things turned out well, it would be a celebration, and if not, so luckily it's a celebration. We're very excited today. On our staff, we have staff across the organization that made this come to fruition. Starting with City Attorney Jason Alcala and his team that made sure that the dozen of contracts, amendments, and agreements were in perfect order. Administrative Services Director Douglas Alessio and his team that obtained extremely cost-effective financing to substantially reduce the overall cost of this facility. Community Development Director Paul Spence, who provided overall coordination of staff resources and work priorities to ensure this building was completed on time. Planning Manager Steve Stewart and his team who coordinated the project design and project entitlements. Sherry Sheets, our city engineer, coordinated the engineering team that oversaw the bidding, construction management, and construction inspection of the facility right up until minutes before you arrived. And you shouldn't be leaning against those walls that were just painted. Just kidding. Bob Folenfant was our construction inspection manager who provided constructability analysis during design. That's the guy who says, no, I know you drew it, but it won't work that way. And he had 30 years of experience to back that up. So the building is built the way it needs to be built. He worked on this until his retirement in December of 2018. Mike Stam, who ably picked up where Bob left off, processing change orders, coordinating requests for information. Neil Snedekor, the city's IT division, who helped in the design and implementation of all of the audio, visual, and data systems essential to the proper operation of the EOC and council chambers. And to get an idea of that, when you go into the council chambers, look off to your right, and you'll see essentially one of the rooms where all of that data comes together. And what you'll literally see is hundreds and hundreds of data cables emptying into that room. So it's quite a show there. Joe Kadukar, our construction inspector, who provided construction oversight, construction meeting, management, inspection, testing, troubleshooting for the project since the project's inception, solving a seemingly endless set of challenges to get the project where it is today. Jeff Schaefer, who is our landscape maintenance manager, and his team, who helped to get the site in shape today for this celebration, and in particular, Tim Mesa and Joe Prime, the maintenance division, who are instrumental in coordinating ongoing city landscape services with the contractor, as well as supplementing the contractor with water and design services so that this wonderful greenery would look great this morning when you showed up. Greg Diktakis, who provided building inspection and great suggestions for future corrections. Tom Purcell, who was our project finance coordinator, monitoring invoicing and the budget. Scott Lee, who served as the project planner, ensuring the details of the building reflected the high quality design expected by the community. Marianne Lobel, where's Marianne? Okay, have you ever designed a party for say like 40 or 50 of your close friends and 300 people show up? Okay, and the other thing is Marianne not only had to design this celebration, she had to do it in an active construction zone. I mean, until 9 a.m. this morning, we had teams from across all of the subcontractors on site this morning. So imagine planning a party when your house is under construction. So she and her team did a great job. And all of the support staff, supervisors, managers throughout the city who've touched the project. But finally, I want to spend just a minute honoring our project manager, Mike Cavallari, Mike recently retired from the city as assistant city engineer after 30 years of service overseeing the city's capital improvement programs. He managed millions of dollars of construction projects annually, including new buildings and infrastructure, rehabilitated a city assets as broad as streets, sewers, and storm drains. During his time with the city, he oversaw numerous municipal projects, including the Isabel Interchange, the Airport Administration Building, and Fire Station Number 9. This building marked the culmination of his city career. He oversaw its design and construction and coordinated many other aspects such as furnishings, utilities, communications. His considerable skill sets in customer service, i.e. getting all those people who have to work together to work together. I don't know whether any of you have ever been on a set of teams where there are dozens of different teams and they don't get along. Mike's job was to make them get along, and he did. He did a great job doing that. He had amazing problem-solving skills, collaborative work ethic, fully appreciated on this most prominent of projects, because pretty much weekly, one of you in the community would ask me, how's it going? And it was always going slower and more complicated than we'd hoped. It was his leadership, however, that brought life to this iconic landmark building. So on behalf of the city, I want to thank all of the folks who worked on this facility and guided its development. The community will now have a forum that is fitting to carry out its business and an effective facility to respond to emergencies. I know everyone who will use this facility in the coming decades will appreciate the efforts of those who brought it to reality. So thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And of course, this was Mike's last one. We wore him out, right? He didn't have another one of these in him, right? So, well, thank you very much. And again, my profound thanks to everybody that Mark mentioned, because it really was a phenomenal team effort. With that, let me now introduce someone who represents Livermore's best interests on the national level, working to improve transportation, national security, and services to our veterans who have served our nation. I'd like to introduce my very good friend, Congressman Eric Swalwell.
Good morning, and congratulations to the community for supporting this facility. Congratulations, Mark, to the city manager, your staff, and the folks that have worked to stand this up, and also thank you to the City Council for your investment in this gem of a civic convening center. I live in Livermore. I've lived here for the last couple years, and this is a city that is on the move in many positive ways, and I couldn't think of a better facility for the community to come together and address issues of the future than the one that you have built. Now, you probably know I've spent the last 2 years getting across the country, and I've seen a lot of places. And it gives you perspective of where you grew up, and for me personally as a representative, the communities that I represent. And we are blessed. I've gone to communities where they have to drink bottled water because the water is poisoned. I've been to communities where all of the jobs that generations of people have known for years and decades and centuries have been lost because of globalization and automation. I've been to communities where schools continue to close, or generations of black children are lost to gun violence. And you see so much tragedy and so much hopelessness. And we've got a lot of challenges here in Livermore, of congestion and affordable housing. But I can tell you, as someone who's seen this great country of ours and communities that are challenged by so many other issues, we've got a lot of great things going for our community. We've got a lot of great leaders here who work every day to make sure that is true. And so this is a celebration of civics. It's a celebration of the future. And again, I don't mean to discount debates that the community will have to have about what we do going forward. I happen to know that as someone who represents nearly 10,000 physicists in Congress, that we have the smartest community of any in the country. In spite of that, they've still elected me a few times to Congress. So I feel comfortable that we've got the right minds and folks who can sort this out. But I wanted to just present to the individual for whom the council chamber will be named a certificate of congressional recognition, and that is for Dr. John Shirley, who I think embodies so much of what this community stands for. A Livermorian who has taken care of our pets, a Livermorian who has shown up as a Rotarian to take care of our community, a public servant who has looked out for the smallest and largest of issues that affect us every single day, and a veteran who has served far, far away from here to make sure that all of the values we care about as Livermorians and Americans still stand. So I want to present this certificate of special congressional recognition presented to the Livermore Civic Center Meeting Hall and the Dr. John B. Shirley City Council Chambers. In honor of your ribbon cutting and naming ceremony, I applaud your commitment and dedication to serving our community. And if the mayor and council members could come up with Dr. Shirley, that would be great.
Very good, John. We got another ball around.
All right, I'm going to give him the certificate. I'll come over and stand here, and maybe we could.
We'll move the photographer. Let's move over this way. Then we can move in. Excuse me, Louis.
You and I know we're reversed.
There we go. Thank Well, thank you, Congressman, for taking time out of your obviously busy schedule to come all the way across the country and share this remarkable experience for us, because national security is very important to you, and this building is going to be very important to the safety of this community. So with that, I'd like to introduce Cynthia Patton, our Poet Laureate. It just astonishes me that people can be creative almost on demand, and to recognize really significant moments in the life of a community. With that, I'd like to introduce Cynthia Patton and have her deliver her poem. Thank you.
I was not expecting a crowd this large. No, for a poet, this is. I can now brag, I've read a poem before standing room only audience. Okay, this is called Reflections on Service in 2 parts. 1. Like its namesake, Dr. John Shirley, soldier, mayor, veterinarian, Rotarian, author, and volunteer, this building will serve many roles. It's not a fancy space devoted to the ego. Rather, it's comfortable and inviting, our community's family room, a place to share thoughts and concerns, to debate ideas, to collectively determine our future. It will shelter goals and aspirations, possibilities and plans, welcome regardless of race, religion, orientation, or creed. Whether elected officials, commissioners, business owners, community advocates, or staff, everyone who enters these chambers will come in service. They will lend their time and their voice. They will give of themselves to better this city. After 3 decades, we finally say goodbye to the triple wide trailer and move into a building more befitting of this town and its residents. Let it be a place of diversity and acceptance, a place of integrity and innovation, a place to come as you are and leave pretense at the door. Let us work together harmoniously and in earnest to create a community we cherish, a legacy for those to come. 2, emergencies rarely provide advance notice, and yet we know they will arise. Earthquakes, firestorms, floods, accidents, or acts of violence we struggle to comprehend. All we can do is prepare and then accept the future as it unfolds. This building exemplifies our city serving its citizens, planning for outcomes we hope never come to pass. It honors the men and women who protect us day in and day out, plus the residents who step up whenever a crisis clouds the horizon. Today, we can be proud of our city, striding into the future confidently and creatively. My hope is that years pass before we use the EOC for its intended purpose, yet everyone will feel safer knowing that it's here, and perhaps that is the greatest service of all.
Thank you, Cynthia. And about the audience too. This is the largest audience that has ever been in this building. And to Cynthia's point,
you can
really,
go around that way.
It's not having the building during an emergency that's important. It's the preparation before that. It's coming together and making sure all of the tools that you have work, so that when an emergency happens, nobody has to think about it. They're already prepared and they know how to act. And that's the real value of this building. I would also like to recognize Kelly Bowers is here from the school district. Thank you for being here. So with that, we're going to do a little bit of choreography here, so going to bear with me. We're going to start, we're going to move, we're going to process out of those doors, and then to the front of the building, and then we're going to do the ribbon cutting, and then from there we will move into the John Shirley Council Chambers for the formal dedication there. So I'd like to invite our current council members, former Councilmember Spadowski, our Congressman Swalwell, and former Mayor Shirley to join me in front of the building for the ribbon cutting for the new City Center Meeting Hall.
Right here. Get one?
All right? Okay, so now slide a page here behind it. All right, 1, 2, and 3. I think we go on the other side.
In front of those stores.
Crowd in there.
With all of them, the council
Hold them back there, yes, we need council members to come here. Come here, Bob on that side. Bob on that side. Bob on that side.
For this you are.
Cougar there. Vice
I
Mayor,
got it.
Congressman Swalwell. Come here, please. Right here. What did you want me? Vice Mayor here. Congressman,
Whoever I am, not Bob.
not Bob on that side. Chris, Bob.
I'm waiting for you.
Stephen on that side.
On that side?
Congressman Swalwell, sorry, sorry. Bob, come here. We don't.
Oh, sorry.
This way, or this way, put an angle here, a little bit more, you gotta be able to see that, step right here. Step right here. All right, we're gonna try this now, and then everyone just stay flat. Go ahead. Flat? We got 3 people in.
Okay, so this council chamber is.
All right, John, we're gonna get people in.
Oh, okay, all right.
This is photos, you guys got photos done? My color guard, you guys can kind of,
Should I unveil the plaque?
One more.
not till everyone comes in.
All right.
As many people as can get in. They're hot.
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody, the photographers, you guys can kind of.
Now all the public's gonna go behind you.
Okay, come here.
Going to be dedicated and named in honor of John Shirley in recognition of his dedication, his commitment, and his service not only to the community but to the nation. This plaque will hang in the foyer to recognize that this is going to be the John Shirley DBM Council Chamber. So I'd ask let's see, Steve Shirley, Gene Otto, Jim and Thea Shirley, if you could join us by the doors and then open the doors, we will then process into the council chamber.
I got some AC in here anyway.
Are we supposed to sit down?
Thank you for the orderly procession into the council chamber. With that, I ask that you please stand for the presentation of the colors.
Color guard, in, up! Present the color.
Forward, march.
Color guard, forward face.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Coast colors. Color guard dismissed.
Please be seated. Well, thank you. Welcome to the Dr. John Shirley Council Chamber. This is where the residents of Livermore will work together with the City Council and conduct the business with the city. It is where the council will communicate their vision for the city and listen to the residents. It is where anyone can feel welcome and will be encouraged to speak about matters which are important to them and to speak with their elected representatives. My father started out as a motorcycle cop in the city of Hayward on a 7-man department. And he later became the chief of the Hayward PD. And in fact, the fault line actually ran right under his desk. The linoleum was cracked, and there was a 3-inch offset in the curb out of his window. While I never attended a meeting at the old council chambers, I remember walking into the silent chamber with its carved wood banisters and the dark paneling. And I remember feeling a sense of awe, of reverence and pride, knowing that this was where the people spoke about their city. This was where governance occurred. And it's my hope that this edifice will inspire our next generation of leaders the way that I was inspired. We accomplished so much in our trailer over the last 30 years, and I have great expectations of what will be accomplished in this chamber. When we held the groundbreaking last year, John told me that the old building, the old library, was the only building in town that had his name on it. And we had just knocked it down. So with that, this is the plaque from that building. The council decided that we wanted the Shirley family to have this. So we'll be giving this to the Shirley family because this John's the last name on the plaque. And don't worry, we'll have it delivered. So it's a remarkable, small, weird world. I would like to recognize Richard and Lenore Denois, who are here in the audience today. They owned the little Kess Creek Bakery right across from Uncle Hugh's. And to show what a marvelous, small, weird world this is, John Shirley liberated Richard's village during World War II. They discovered that quite by accident last summer, but it shows how marvelous things can happen in this world. My thanks to especially Marty Plone and Bruce Shore from Rotary and the other members of Rotary who first suggested naming this council chamber after Dr. Shirley. Veteran, mayor, statesman, and civil servant. John has served his community for decades, and he continues to serve. Livermore is a better place because of his compassion and his caring. for our community. I often quote Sir Isaac Newton, who said, "If I can see farther, it is because I stand on the shoulders of giants." John Shirley is truly one of our giants. John Shirley, is with great pride that we dedicate our new council chamber in your name. Welcome to the Dr. John Shirley Council Chamber. This is where the people and the council will plan Livermore's future together. Together, we will keep Livermore the remarkable place that it is to live. Thank you. Let me now invite Commander Mike Gilmore, VFW Post 7265, to the podium.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The mission of the VFW reads, to foster camaraderie among United States veterans of overseas conflicts, to serve our veterans, the military, and our communities, to advocate on behalf of all veterans. Some of our core VFW values include always put the interests of our members first, promote patriotism, honor military service, service our community, and promote a positive image of the VFW. If it sounds like I'm describing Dr. John Shirley, I am. John joined the VFW in 1954. That's 65 years of service. As a member of the VFW, he has given hundreds of talks to young men and women, not about himself, but rather the efforts of the greatest generation and their tremendous feat they accomplished, defeating the Japanese Empire and the evil that was Adolf Hitler, and restoring peace and freedom throughout the world. I first met John at a memorial ceremony in 2005. I had just returned from Iraq, and I wanted to honor my fallen comrades. John was the Honor Guard commander, something he had done for nearly 20 years. John looked at me in my Army dress uniform and said, "You look good in that uniform. Where did you get all those medals? When are you going to join the VFW? We need young kids like you." Well, after hearing the same speech for the next 8 years, I joined and had the distinct privilege of participating in 5 years of Memorial Day ceremonies with John Shirley. He retired from his duties with the VFW in 2017. To quote General Douglas MacArthur, "Duty, honor, country. These three hollow words reverently dictate what you ought to be, what you can be, and what you will be." This is Dr. John Shirley, a true American patriot, and it's a pleasure to be here with him today. It is also my honor to present John with the VFW Challenge coin. This coin reads on the front, Livermore Valley Post 7265, celebrating 75 years. On the back, it reads, "No one does more for veterans, 1946 through 2021. It also portrays the emblem of 5 branches of service that make up the U.S. Armed Forces, along with the VFW insignia, the Cross of Malta. John, from the members of Livermore Valley Post 7265, thank you for your 75 years of service to the community, country, and the VFW. John, here's a point from Livermore Valley Post 7265. And also a 65-year patch.
You have $1 million smile. Thank you so much for your service. Judy and I are going to read parts of the resolution. Whereas the City of Livermore and the surrounding region is celebrating the official ribbon cutting of the Civic Center Meeting Hall and the dedication of the Dr. John Shirley City Council Chamber, And on this auspicious occasion, it is appropriate that special public attention be drawn to recognize the many services and opportunities these civic facilities will provide for visitors throughout the coming years.
And whereas built for the future, the Civic Center Meeting Hall and its meeting rooms were sized to accommodate city functions and activities and will be able to serve various boards and commissions as well as numerous administrative and training functions, including hiring exams and boards, technical certification trainings, department meetings, bargaining meetings, block captains and neighborhood group meetings. And these functions result in the council chambers being occupied by approximately 80% of weekdays. Now, therefore, it be resolved.
Resolved by Assembly Member Rebecca Bauer-Cahan and Senator Stephen Glazer that they draw the special attention of the public to the opening of the new Civic Center Meeting Hall and Dr. Shirley City Council Chamber, and point with great pride to the outstanding services that they will provide to the city of Livermore well into the future.
And it's member resolution 1361 dated this 13th day of July, signed by the Honorable Rebecca Bauer-Cahan, 16th Assembly District, and the Honorable Stephen M. Glazer, 7th Senate District.
So our building is functional, not grandiose, okay? So before I introduce our next speakers, I would like to acknowledge Andrew Garrison, who is here today. Andrew is John Shirley's grandnephew. He is also a veteran of Afghanistan and Iraq. As a tribute to his great uncle, Andrew designed the shadow box, which contains John's war medals. It is on display in the foyer and will be installed permanently in the building as a gift to the City of Livermore residents in honor of his great uncle. So thank you so much. The box is sitting just at the side of the plaque that will adorn the foyer identifying the room. Our next speaker is Steve Shirley, one of the sons of Dr. John Shirley. Please.
Good to see everyone. A lot of familiar faces, some like a reunion. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Steve Shirley. I'm the favorite, or oldest. Some of you may know him from his military career. Some of you may know him from his political career, or know him as a veterinarian. But I feel so lucky today to know him as my dad. In 1943, Dad was in college at Cal Poly, studying to be a dairyman when he was drafted in the United States Army. He did his basic training at Camp Cook, Lompoc, California. During basic training, his leadership qualities stood out. 2 days before graduation, he was promoted to corporal. He was then sent to Fort Sill, Oklahoma. 3 months later, he was promoted to sergeant. In February 1944, he received orders to go to Europe. He boarded a Liberty ship and sailed out of Newport News, Virginia. That ship was part of a convoy of 140 ships, and they would zigzag their way across the Atlantic. After 22 days at sea, Dad arrived at Palermo, Sicily. From there, he was ferried over to the mainland, Italy, where he boarded an LST landing ship tank and arrived at Anzio as an infantry sergeant replacement. He was assigned to I Company, 15th Infantry Regiment, 3rd Infantry Division. The 3rd Division Now, they were preparing for the big breakout of Anzio, and that was selected to be part of an experiment. It was the first and only time the United States Army ever tried this. And the idea was to pull troops in the battle in metal sleds attached to the back of tanks. They would become known as the battle sled teams. And they called themselves Lucifer Slayers. This is how Dad went into his first battle. In the military, mail from loved ones are deeply cherished and don't come every day. Now, the night before the battle, Dad's first battle, his mail caught up with him. He received 40 letters. He didn't have time to read them. So he stashed them in his pack, and he wondered if he would survive long enough to read them. He did survive that first day of battle, and many others, they fought their way to Rome. 3 days before D-Day, they liberated Rome. And after Rome, he participated in the invasion of southern France. They made an amphibious landing on Yellow Beach in Saint-Tropez. Dad led a squad of 12 men across the beach, engaging the Germans up a hill. By the end of the day, his 12-man squad was down to 7, 1 killed and 4 wounded. As they fought their way through France, the division encountered tough fighting in the Vosges Mountains. It was in the village of Ben Weir that he was wounded and captured. His squad was trying to hold off a advancing German tank when an explosion from the tank round shattered half of Dad's teeth and lacerated his face. The squad was captured and taken prisoner. And as they were being marched away, Dad was in the rear of that column, and they were being marched away. Dad was lagging behind purposely. A German came up to push him, and when he did, the mock shell moved faster. Dad turned around and nailed him in the chin, knocked him down, and ran off into the rubble. He escaped. Made his way back to American lines, where he spent the next 3 months in a hospital in England and France before rejoining his unit to finish up fighting in Germany. A day after Nuremberg's fell, Dad was given a battlefield commission as second lieutenant. When the war was over, he stayed on as part of the occupied forces as company commander of L Company in the 3rd Division. Now, Dad arrived home in 1945 on Christmas Eve as a 21-year-old second lieutenant. For his service, he was awarded a Silver Star for valor, 2 Bronze Stars for valor, a Purple Heart, and a European Theater Operation Medal with 6 campaign stars and a bronze arrowhead for 1 invasion. After the war, Dad stayed involved with the Society of the 3rd Infantry Division, attending their reunions. Eventually, he became their president. When Dad was president, he started leading military reunions, or military tours over to Europe. He did that for every 5 years. Also, for 35 years, he was president of OP54, which is a military service club to help raise money for ROTC programs in high schools in San Francisco and Oakland. He was also instrumental in starting a Veterans First program at Las Vegas College, which provides many different support services to those who have served in armed forces. And he's been a member and past president of Livermore VFW for 65 years, marching rodeo parades and leading the members in the 21-gun salute at the cemeteries on Memorial Day. Now, on the 50th anniversary of Anzio, it was his honor to speak at the American Cemetery at Nettuno, Italy. After his speech, he introduced then President Bill Clinton. Another honor was off the coast of southern France on the aircraft carrier Charles de Gaulle. The French President Chirac personally presented Dad with the French Legion of Honor, with presidents and heads of state of 32 countries in attendance. In Ben Weir, France, where he was wounded, captured, and escaped, they honored him with naming the downtown square after him, Place John Shirley. And just recently, in the French village of Arbois, there's a historical bell tower in which there's a bell that rings today with Dad's name on it. Thinking about Dad's life and the great example he has set, brings to mind a quote: "You give but little when you give of your possessions. It's when you give of yourself that you truly give." And Dad has always truly given of himself through his service to country, as a veterinarian, through his volunteerism, and through his leadership abilities to chair and preside over so many clubs and committees. As a family, we've always been proud of Dad, and today is no exception. So we all thank you very much for honoring him with his dedication. Thank you.
Let me now introduce Jean Otto, daughter of Dr. John Shirley.
Who is this guy? What makes him so special? Why are people attracted to him like a magnet? And why would the city name these council chambers after him? Mayor Marchand, members of the city council and staff, and honored guests. As Dad's oldest daughter, I have been trying to figure that out my whole life. After I moved back to Livermore 3 years ago to live with them and to help him out, all I heard was how special he was. I just kept hearing it over and over, and I finally asked one of his friends, why is he so special? And they said, when we go for community service, when we go to a community service project and we're out raking leaves at a senior's home, and your dad's out there with us, and he's 80 years old. Now, that's pretty special. But what is it about Dad that people love so much? He has a love for life, and people are drawn to that positive energy. But where did he get it? What shaped his life? I believe his love for people and his service to the community was formed in his home as a child. He went to church as a kid and learned the lessons in the Bible. Self-sacrifice, putting others' welfare before your own, the golden rule, treat others the same way you want to be treated. He had wonderful parents who were the salt of the earth. Grandpa Bill Shirley was a carpenter and many other things, but above all, he had great compassion for the downtrodden. During the Great Depression, Grandpa had an orange orchard, a large garden, a cow, sheep, and chickens. He fed many neighbors and the homeless who would pass through the area. He made a room inside a eucalyptus tree, and he put a bed and a basin of water out there. And he'd take food from the kitchen and go visit the hobos, as they were called back then. And our dad saw all of that. Dad worked hard on the farm, but he also played hard. He and his childhood friend Chuck would ride their bikes to Newport Beach about a mile away and body surf. They were best buddies and had many adventures together. Chuck has joined us today, and I want to thank him for coming. In high school, Dad's leadership skills started to show as he ran for student body president and lost. He wasn't disappointed. He was pleased that he got as many votes as he did against a popular female student. He had a positive attitude, and he tried. The principal of his high school told the graduating class of 1942 that they were graduating into a world at war and that they would be drafted. A lot of them would not be coming home. He urged the lucky ones that would make it back to be of service to their communities above personal interests. Dad took note. We just heard about Dad's personal sacrifices in World War II, and he was one of the lucky ones who made it home intact. Now he's off to college, where he took on leadership roles, one being on the Welfare Council, where he helped co-write a booklet on the honor system to discourage cheating in class. He was the keynote speaker for the freshman orientation, where my mom happened to be listening. She told me once, the first time she saw him up there speaking, she thought, gee, I wonder what it'd be like to date a bigwig like that. She not only dated him, she married him, grabbed a tiger by the tail, and hung on for 64 years. God bless her for hanging on. I graduated in 1952 with the very first class of veterinarians at UC Davis. After working for a veterinarian in Ukiah for 2 years, he started looking for a town of his own. He came down to Danville because they needed one, but he heard that Livermore needed a veterinarian also. He came over to check it out, and he liked what he saw. Being a country boy, the agricultural and farming community suited him just fine. He was a large and small animal vet, and this area had plenty of horses, cattle, sheep, and pig farms. He had no idea that there was a national laboratory here. He would say that the lab people kept him on his toes and made a better veterinarian out of him, as they would ask numerous questions and want to know why he was doing things and why it would cost so much. He moved Mom and Steve, who was 1 year old at the time, into a rental home downtown. He converted the garage into his vet clinic and put out a shingle. After 3 years, he built the first veterinary hospital in all of Livermore, Pleasanton, Dublin, San Ramon, Lafayette, Danville, and Fremont. His hospital is still here and doing well. My heart swells with pride every time I see it. He worked 6 days a week and on call 24/7 for 7 years. He was a good veterinarian. One of his female clients said she wished he was her medical doctor. His compassion was so great. People come up to us all the time to share stories of Dad as a veterinarian. It's really special. He didn't get too involved in the community right away, but he did join the Eagles and was a founding member of the Toastmasters Club. The Toastmasters Club is for anyone who wants to improve their public speaking skills. And of course, he joined VFW in 1954, as Mike stated. In 1956, he joined Rotary and was president of Rotary from 1967 to 1968. He still attends Rotary as a lifelong member, and his service went above and beyond the call, which has been recognized over and over again. He is also a lifelong member of the Chamber of Commerce. His civic service started in the sewers, as he likes to tell it. The city just had a sewer bond issue defeated, and they wanted to know why. They asked Dad to chair with 4 other members of the community to find out that answer. What they found was that the old-timers didn't want growth and new people moving in. Their sewer was inadequate for the growth that was coming, so the city manager, Bill Parnas, came up with a creative way to have the builders pay for the sewer connection fee. The builders liked it until it was time to pay. They sued the city, and the city countersued the builders. The case went all the way to the California Supreme Court, where the city of Livermore won. It set an important precedence in the state, as many small communities were experiencing rapid growth also. Dad's political activity began with an appointment to the Planning Commission. They wanted some new blood, and when Dad was appointed, all but one other planner resigned. The other planner was Manuel Medeiros. 3 more new planners were hired, and they were off. Livermore had a 1931 zoning ordinance and no city plan for growth. These men asked for help from the county planning staff, and together created a general plan for the city. Their vision for our community was inspirational. Together, they created infrastructure and ordinances that have shaped this community for the better. Dad ran for city council with Manuel Medeiros as a team. They split the cost and won the votes. As a council member, you took turns being mayor, serving 2 one-year terms. Dad's mayoral term ran from 1963 to 1965. Excuse me. But while he was council member, they addressed flood control, industrial areas, rodeo grounds, the civic center, a modern fire station, downtown development, the city dump, the airport, the library, the hospital, fallout shelters, hotels, and commercial buildings, and more. As mayor, he was asked to join the Alameda County Mayor's Conference. He was the youngest member, and in his 2nd year, he became the chairman. With his leadership skills, the Conference of Mayors became more effective and accomplished several valuable changes. After he left office, he continued to be very active in city politics and improvements. He was appointed chairman of the Downtown Development Commission to study and propose consolidating the Southern Pacific and the Western Pacific Railroad lines onto the Western Pacific right-of-way. He always attended council meetings, chamber of commerce meetings, was president of the Livermore Valley Opera, and was involved with the Livermore Symphony Association, and was instrumental in starting the Veterans First program at Las Positas College. He mentored new and seasoned politicians, and if you had his endorsement, that carried a lot of weight. I would say he was a very busy fellow, all while working full-time with a family of 5 children. No wonder we never saw very much of him. But I do remember him taking us bowling, shooting a bucket of golf balls, and playing miniature golf. He was a big kid and loved to play. He used to take out his dentures and chase us around the house growling like a monster. And we always went to the mountains for a yearly camp out with friends and family. He was a wonderful athlete. He played golf and tennis, and when he turned 40 years old, he learned to ski, and he skied until he was 87 years old. He learned to fly a small private plane, and we had many great vacations flying down south to visit his sisters. Dad and 5 little kids in a 4-seater Cessna. Wow. Mom stayed home and enjoyed a quiet house for a change. When he retired, he started climbing mountains, which is a whole chapter in itself. What didn't this guy do? Dad always has a smile on his face, a good word for friends and strangers alike, and an unquenchable curiosity about people. I always joke that he had a 100-question, rapid-fire interrogation of newcomers. We would sit down to dinner, and he'd start in with the questions, and by the time we were done eating, our guests hadn't even taken a bite. They were too busy talking. I've never seen Dad lose his temper, and the respect he shows for people's opinions is worth noting. Always a gentleman, polite and courteous. Dad once told me that if you smile and say hello to people and the other person doesn't smile and say hello back, don't give up. Just keep doing it and they'll eventually come around. One friend of Dad's said he loves going places with Dad because nothing bad ever happens to him. It's like he has a guardian angel following him around. Another friend always tells people that Dad changed the course of his life, and that's why he moved to Livermore. What makes Dad so special? I think what makes him special in one way is his love for this community and wanting the best for everyone who lives here. He had a vision of what he wanted, and I think what we see now and in the future is an extension of that vision. But more importantly is the way he makes you feel when you're around him. People can sense a beautiful spirit. He's truly interested in you as a person and knows how to connect face to face. His human connection, mentoring people, making a difference in people's lives is what makes Dad special. And of course, his sense of humor. All the things he accomplished were wonderful, but it's the way he did it which is memorable. His humanity and genuine personality are what this world needs more of. I wonder how many thousands of lives were changed in a positive way because of him. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of the others. Philippians chapter 2, lines 3 and 4. In conclusion, Dad and I would like to present to Mayor Marchand. Oh, I'm supposed to be up there just a moment. Just a minute. Dad and I would like to present to Mayor Marchand, the City Council staff and volunteers of the City of Livermore, one of Dad's new books about his time as mayor and councilman. And Dad, I want to thank you so much for being the special guy you are. and setting such a great example for all of us. Your family and this community love you very, very much. Dad would like to say a few words.
Who wants to say a few words? Yeah, thank you for the honor of naming the city council chambers after me. I'm humbled and appreciate it very much. Our city is a great place to live, work, and play, and I'm very proud to be part of this history. Thank you very, very much.
I'm good for something. Bless you.
Okay. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Today's my brother Jim's birthday. Please join me in singing happy birthday to him. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jim. Happy birthday to you. I have one more announcement to make. Dad's book about his political days and his book about his war experience will be on sale out in the foyer after the ceremony. He has autographed each one. All the proceeds will benefit the Pedrosi Foundation and the Veterans First program. These two charities benefit local students. They are $10 each or $10.50 with a credit card. Dad's great-granddaughter Maddie and his great-grandniece Katie will be selling the books. Selling the war book was an afterthought, so there are not very many of those. If we run out, you can purchase these books on Amazon. If you do, we ask you to please use smile.amazon.com, as this site will let you choose a charity that will receive a small donation of the purchase. Please choose the Livermore Rotary Foundation in honor of Dad. Thank you.
So the inscription in the book is for Mayor Marchand, members of the City Council, staff, and volunteers. Livermore is a great place to live, work, and play. Good job on keeping it that way. And we're just continuing your work and your tradition, so thank you. As we're winding down, I'd like to present a proclamation of the City of Livermore honoring Dr. John Shirley. And whereas a California native, John Shirley was born in Santa Ana on December 8, 1924, and grew up in Southern California. John was in 4-H and Future Farmers of America and was studying to be a dairyman at California Polytechnic College in San Luis Obispo when he was drafted into the military. Whereas John served in the European Theater of Operations during World War II and was in the Anzio Nettuno invasion, followed by 6 campaigns, earning the Silver Star, 2 Bronze Stars with Valor, and a Purple Heart. John documented his military experience in the book, I Remember, Stories of a Combat Infantryman in Italy, France, and Germany in World War II. And whereas following his military service, John attended the University of California at Davis and was accepted into its first veterinary class, graduating in 1952. Go Aggies. Whereas John and his wife, Helen, moved their young family to Livermore in 1954 when Dr. Shirley established the first veterinary hospital in this growing community. John and Helen raised 5 children, Stephen, James, Jean, Barbara, and Patricia, in Livermore. And whereas Dr. Shirley served on the Planning Commission and in 1958 was elected to the City Council, John was re-elected in 1962, serving a total of 8 years on the City Council, with 2 years as mayor. Later, Dr. Shirley documented his time in public office when he wrote, I Remember, Stories of a Small-Town Politician in Livermore, California, during the 50s and the 60s. And whereas, while serving on the Planning Commission and City Council, Dr. Shirley was a strong advocate for well-planned, smart growth, taking part in an update in the general plan, the creation of Livermore's Civic Center, and the introduction of development fees for parks and sewer connections to support the infrastructure needed for quality housing, shopping, employment, recreational and educational opportunities for Livermore residents. And whereas Dr. Shirley continues to be actively engaged in local issues with the Chamber of Commerce, Rotary Club of Livermore, with the local arts community, and with World War II veterans organizations, now therefore, the City Council of the City of Livermore recognizes Dr. Shirley for his selfless public service and dedicates the new Dr. John Shirley City Council Chamber today in honor of his lifelong contributions to the Livermore community and his country. Thank you. So, my sincere thanks to all of you for coming. July 28th, I'd like to recognize that we will be dedicating Veterans Way. There will be more room there at that time, but that's the new east-west street in the downtown. On September 7th, we will have a community open house right back here in preparation for our first meeting on September 8th. And once the colors are retired, I invite everyone to view the displays in the foyer, visit the Emergency Operations Center, which will have a setup, check out the books that Jean talked about, which will be available for sale, and enjoy the refreshments catered by Checkers Catering, which will be outside. So now, using the official Dr. John Shirley gavel, together with John Shirley, I officially adjourn the dedication ceremony. Now, please stand as the colors are retired. Color guard, please retire the colors. That concludes our dedication ceremony. Thank you all.